Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're continuing our popular series with part 24 of Snowflake interview questions and answers. In this episode, we're tackling some excellent, practical questions that you're likely to encounter. We'll cover how to debug stored procedures, the output of some tricky SQL functions, critical limitations of the copy command, and the different states of a Snowflake task. If you're preparing for a Snowflake interview, you don't want to miss this. Make sure you're subscribed and have hit that notification bell so you never miss a video in this series. Let's dive right into our first question. Question 1. How do you debug a Snowflake scripting stored procedure? This is a fantastic question because it tests your practical, hands-on knowledge. Unlike traditional programming IDEs, Snowflake doesn't have a step-through debugger where you can go line by line, so you need to use a different set of techniques. Here are the key methods you should mention. First, use return statements. For simple debugging, you can change the procedure's return value to a variable or message to see its state at a certain point. Second, insert into a debug table. This is a great choice for complex procedures. You create a separate logging table and insert variable values, timestamps, and messages at different stages of your procedure. This gives you a persistent log of what happened. Third, raising declared exceptions. You can intentionally raise an exception with a custom message to halt the procedure and report a specific state or error. Fourth, use an exception block. It's best practice to wrap your code in a begin exception block. In the exception handler, you can log the error details before rethrowing the exception. Fifth, use query history. The Snowflake UI's query history is your best friend. After a procedure runs, you can go here to see every single SQL statement that was executed, its status, duration, and any errors. Sixth, use last query ID. This function is great inside a procedure, especially in an exception block. You can grab the ID of the failed query and log it for easier investigation later. And seventh, use query tagging. Before you call your procedure, you can set a query tag for the session. This makes it super easy to find all related queries for that specific run in the query history. And eighth, use the system$log function. This is a newer feature that allows you to log messages with different levels, which can then be queried later. It's a more structured way of logging. Knowing these techniques shows the interviewer you have real-world experience troubleshooting in Snowflake. Okay, let's move on to a quick-fire SQL round. Question 2. Check the below queries and tell me what is the output for each one. The queries are: select floor of -12.5. Select seal of -12.5. Select trunk 1234.678, -3. For select floor of -12.5, the output is -13. Remember, floor always rounds down to the nearest integer. On a number line, -13 is below or down from -12.5. For select seal of -12.5, the output is -12. Seal, short for ceiling, always rounds up to the nearest integer. -12 is above or up from -12.5. And for select trunk of 1234.678, -3, the output is 1000. The trunk function truncates numbers. A negative second argument, like -3 here, makes digits to the left of the decimal 0. So it zeroes out the 3 rightmost digits before the decimal, turning 1234 into 1000. These are common trip-ups, especially with negative numbers, so be sure you know them. Next up, a very important question about data loading. Question 3. Can we use the where clause and keywords like order by, limit, fetch, or top in the select statement of a copy command? The answer is a clear and simple no. The copy command is a bulk loading tool optimized for speed. While it allows for basic transformations within its select statement, like reordering columns or casting data types, it does not support filtering or ordering clauses like where, order by, or limit. If you try to use a where clause or a limit clause in the select from the stage, Snowflake will return a compilation error. The copy statement only supports a simple select from a stage. The standard workaround is a two-step process. First, copy all the necessary data from your staged files into a temporary staging table. Then use a standard insert into select statement with all of the where, order by, and other clauses you need to transform and load the data from the staging table into your final target table. Let's stick with the copy command for one more critical question. Question 4. Can we use the validation mode parameter in copy statements that transform data during a load? Again, the answer here is no. The validation mode is an amazing feature that lets you validate your data files against the target table and file format without actually loading the data. It's perfect for catching errors early. However, this validation works by comparing the raw file directly to the table definition. When you introduce a transformation, which is done by using a select from stage syntax, Snowflake can no longer perform this direct validation. The rule is you can use validation mode or you can use a select transformation, but you can't use both in the same copy command. And for our final question, let's talk about automation with Snowflake tasks. Can you list down all the possible statuses or states of a Snowflake task? Understanding the task lifecycle is key to managing and troubleshooting your data pipelines. A Snowflake task can be in one of the following states. Scheduled. The task is enabled and is waiting for its scheduled time to run. Executing. The task is currently running its SQL statement. Succeeded. The run completed successfully. Failed. The run failed due to an error in the SQL code or a timeout. Failed and auto-suspended. This happens when a task fails a certain number of times consecutively. Snowflake automatically suspends it to prevent it from consuming credits while continuously failing. Canceled. The run was manually stopped by a user. And skipped. This is a very important one. It means the task's when condition evaluated to false, so the task's main SQL body was not executed. This is considered a successful outcome, not an error. Knowing these states, especially the difference between failed and skipped, is crucial for a data engineering role. And that's a wrap for Part 24. We've covered debugging, specific SQL functions, and some very important limitations and features of the copy command and Snowflake tasks. These are exactly the kind of practical questions that separate a good candidate from a great one. I hope you found this session helpful. If you did, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or want to see a specific topic covered. And of course, subscribe to our channel for more in-depth tutorials and interview preparation guides. Thanks for watching, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.